The language of genetics, an introduction, and it's just as it says on the cover, it's an introduction to genetics for people who perhaps have never looked into it before, they want to understand it. Starting with basics, all about DNA, how it's regulated, what does DNA do, what are the implications when bad things happen in DNA, what does that do to our lives? And then the big questions raised by genetics for all of our lives about our sense for human identity, our worth as individual humans, and indeed, how do we really go about applying genetics in different parts of the world, in GM crops and in genetic engineering. It covers the whole breadth, really, of interest that people have in genetics these days. You know, for the general public to really get a handle on science and on the ethical questions arising from science, unfortunately, they need to be really engaged in both to some degree. And that doesn't mean to say they have to become professional scientists, but I think they need to know enough of the science in order to be able to address the ethics. Unfortunately, sometimes a great public outcry from some new scientific discovery, and actually the outcry is unnecessary because they haven't really understood what's going on. So actually I think we just need both, and we can't split them down the middle as some people would like to do. You know, we have to bring both together. The ethics and the science have to be really hand in glove with each other. The scientific community has a great responsibility to help people to think about science religion in a sensible kind of way, and unfortunately I don't think that always happens as it should happen. If you have a very reductionist story about life, you know, from a scientist, this is the only story, you know, this is the only story to tell, then the public will think, oh, okay, so science is just all about material things and that's the only story there is, there are no other stories to be told. But I think in the science and religion kind of discourse, we're saying actually there are many stories to be told about life, of which science is one. Science can educate us about certain decisions we have to make, but you know, newspapers, life is full of moral decisions, or for newspapers mostly immoral decisions, and that's how it gets into the newspapers. It's about morality, it's about politics, it's about the big questions of life. It's not about science actually. So scientists should not try and pretend that they have the only story about life. There are many stories we have about anything in life. Take a car, you know, you can describe it at the level of its machinery in the car, and that's fine, that's a kind of scientific, technological level. You can describe it at the level, does it look beautiful or not? That's a kind of aesthetic level. You could describe it at the level of ethics. Ought I to drive my car? It's going to contribute to global warming. I have to think about that. Or you can describe a car in terms of its ultimate purpose. This car is going to Scotland. And who's driving it? What's its ultimate goal? And so in science and religion, we have the same type of complementarity model, but these layers are not in any necessary rivalry with each other. These are actually different kinds of narrative, and we need all the narratives to do justice to the complex reality that we call life.